Imagine you walk down your city street and every other car silently whizzes by without a single puff of exhaust. Charging stations are as common as coffee shops, and a new generation of electric vehicles, sleek, smart, and affordable, promise to reshape everything you know about transportation. But under the glowing headlines and glossy brochures, an intense battle is raging. Will electric cars truly conquer our roads, or are we about to hit a massive speed bump? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the electric car revolution of 2025. We'll cut through the hype, the fear, and the billion-dollar investments to answer the burning question. Is the EV dream really within our grasp, or are there hidden traps that could send the whole movement skidding off course? To understand what's really at stake, let's rewind for a moment. The electrification of our roads isn't some overnight fad. It's an epic story that's taken over a century to unfold. In fact, the earliest electric vehicles appeared in the 19th century, quietly gliding down muddy city lanes as inventors experimented with the magic of battery power. But as gasoline cars became cheaper and more powerful, they soon pushed those early EVs into obscurity. Fast forward to the early 2000s. Climate change, air pollution, and volatile oil prices were front-page news. Governments worldwide began whispering about energy independence. In California, a bold new zero-emission vehicle mandate fired the starting pistol for electric innovation. Suddenly, what sounded like a utopian fantasy started to look possible and profitable. Then came the lightning bolt, Tesla's 2008 Roadster. For the first time, an electric car wasn't just for the eco-obsessed. It was fast, stylish, and most importantly, cool. The Tesla Roadster shattered the myth that electric vehicles had to be slow and boring, automotive analyst Sandy Munro would later remark, and the world took notice. The following years saw the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Volt drive the nail into the coffin of gas-only thinking. These mass-market EVs brought electric mobility to ordinary people. Legacy automakers from Europe to Asia poured billions into electrification, while scrappy startups promised to disrupt the old order. The race was officially on. By 2025, the results are staggering. There are now well over 100 different electric cars to choose from in the UK alone, city runabouts, family SUVs, even high-octane sports machines. Global EV sales are predicted to top 17 million in 2024, snatching more than 20% of all new car sales from the jaws of their gas-guzzling ancestors. We're not just talking about a new car, we're witnessing the next chapter of mobility, says Gene Munster, tech analyst at Loop Ventures. And the technology? It's moving at a blistering pace. Some of today's electric cars can officially drive over 400 miles on a single charge. Goodbye, range anxiety. Charging times that used to take over an hour have been slashed. Some models can now fill up to 80% in under 20 minutes. Battery breakthroughs are hitting the headlines almost monthly. Solid-state cells, lithium-sulfur chemistries, and even whispers of graphene batteries that could one day push range above 500 miles with recharge times as short as a coffee break. Prices are falling fast, too. Start at the budget end. The Dacia Spring, an affable city car, can be yours for just $14,995. At the premium edge, Tesla is dangling discounts and ultra-low financing to entice the masses. For many buyers, the monthly cost of an EV is now cheaper than that of a comparable petrol or diesel model. Charging infrastructure, the Achilles heel of early EVs, is expanding rapidly. In the UK, charging points are popping up everywhere from motorway rest stops to supermarket car parks. Companies like GridServe are opening ultra-fast charging hubs powered entirely by renewable energy, turning the old gasoline station into a relic of a carbon age. And with energy providers like Octopus Energy offering off-peak EV tariffs as low as 7.5p kWh, charging at home overnight could cost less than a takeaway pizza each week. Governments are all in. In the UK, a 22% zero-emission vehicle (ZV) mandate for new cars is already law for 2024, climbing to a jaw-dropping 80% by 2030. Grants and incentives now cover not just cars, but also electric motorcycles and mopeds. The EU has mandated that all new EVs use the same universal charging plug by 2027, promising seamless travel across countries and cutting through the tangle of incompatible standards. All signs point to an unstoppable transition. The stage is set for electric domination. But here's where the plot thickens. Beneath all the optimism, a new set of cracks is appearing. Several major car makers, including giants like Volkswagen and Ford, are quietly backing away from their most ambitious EV targets. Their reason? slower than expected demand on dealership floors. In a surprising twist, some factories have begun scaling back production, and inventories of unsold electric cars are quietly building up. Are drivers having second thoughts, or is something else at play? At the same time, the rush to electrify is exposing tough new challenges. While city dwellers with private driveways can easily plug in overnight, millions living in dense apartments or terraced housing face a daily puzzle. Where do they charge? Chris Pateman-Jones, CEO of Connected Curb, warns, "We need a mix of charging solutions, including on-street charging, to cater to all EV drivers, not just those with driveways. Without it, the EV revolution risks leaving a huge chunk of society behind." Then there's the challenge of sticker shock. Yes, prices are dropping, but for many families, brand new electric vehicles are still out of reach. Even with government grants and cheap overnight charging, the upfront costs can bite. And for drivers who depend on second-hand cars, the used EV market remains patchy and expensive, with concerns around battery health and replacement costs lurking in the background. Range anxiety isn't dead either, not by a long shot. Official numbers might look impressive, but in winter or on motorways, real-world driving can slash range by 20, sometimes 30%, leaving drivers anxiously eyeing the nearest charger. And while rapid charging networks are growing, queues and out-of-service points are still all too common in busy regions. A key pain point is the battery itself. The rush to build ever more powerful, longer-lasting lithium-ion cells has sparked a scramble for rare metals, lithium, cobalt, nickel, that are mined, often under poor conditions, in far-flung corners of the world. Environmentalists are starting to ask hard questions. Are we simply trading one form of exploitation for another? Plus, how do we handle the looming tidal wave of used EV batteries, a recycling challenge that could dwarf anything we've faced before? And let's not forget the software revolution. As EVs morph into rolling computers, software takes center stage. Tesla, with its over-the-air updates and subscription-based features, has set a new benchmark. Rivals race to catch up, but not without headaches. In 2023, a spate of glitches and recalls linked to buggy code rattled consumer confidence. Tech analyst Gene Munster underscores, EV adoption will accelerate as battery prices decline and charging infrastructure improves, but consumer education is also crucial to dispel myths and address range anxiety. Meanwhile, the industry itself faces a seismic shift in skills. Automotive analyst Daniel Harrison observes, the shift to EVs will require significant investment in skills and training across the industry, creating new job opportunities but also posing challenges for the existing workforce. Old jobs are disappearing even as new ones emerge, and not everyone is prepared. Regulators are under pressure too. As Alex Keynes, a clean transport campaigner, notes, Europe's EV market share is plateauing due to weak emissions standards. Stronger regulations are needed to drive further growth and prevent a slowdown in the transition. So, are we speeding toward an all-electric utopia, or are we about to crash into a hard wall of reality? Will the next wave of innovation break through these barriers, or are there rough roads ahead that could stall the momentum of one of the biggest technological shifts of our time? As we peer into the near future, one question looms above all others. Can the electric car revolution survive its own success, or is the toughest test still to come? In the next segment, we'll zero in on the toughest dilemmas facing drivers, automakers, and policymakers, and reveal the battles that could decide the fate of the EV dream. As we peer into the next decade, the electric vehicle revolution stands at a precarious crossroads, a thrilling moment of possibility, but also of genuine uncertainty. The promises are undeniable: cleaner air, less dependence on fossil fuels, and a fundamental reimagining of what cars can do. But the obstacles we've laid out aren't easily brushed aside. So, what's next? Let's chart the future landscape, the scenarios, risks, and dazzling opportunities shaping the road ahead. Picture our cities in 2030. Rows of silent cars glide through bustling neighborhoods, the air noticeably clearer. In some places, charging stations are as common as coffee shops, and EVs have become the default family car, work vehicle, even taxi. Governments are pushing hard. By 2030 in the UK, for example, 80% of new cars must be zero-emission vehicles. In China, Norway, and California, similar pressures are accelerating the phase-out of the combustion engine. Global sales of electric vehicles in 2025 are projected to soar beyond 17 million, outselling conventional cars in major markets. These aren't dreams, they're numbers from industry analysts. But underneath this momentum lies a constant recalibration. Automakers like Volkswagen and Ford have recently scaled back their EV production targets, responding to slower than hoped-for demand. The market, it seems, is hungry but not insatiable. Consumers worry about infrastructure, battery longevity, and upfront costs, issues that keep many clinging to petrol. What would a stall look like? If the price of critical minerals spikes, or if public support for subsidies wavers, it's not unthinkable that adoption could plateau. Europe's market share, for example, is already flattening, prompting experts like Alex Keynes to urge stronger emissions standards. Without tougher policies, the transition could hit a wall, Keynes warns. Yet innovation is racing ahead. Imagine charging your car to 80% in under 10 minutes. StoreDot's extreme fast-charging battery tech will be in production by 2025. Graphene batteries, offering 500-mile ranges and recharges in minutes, are being developed in laboratories across the globe. Soon, range anxiety could go the way of dial-up internet. And it's not just about driving farther, faster. The electric car of tomorrow is a software powerhouse. Over-the-air updates will redefine vehicles as evolving platforms. Picture this. You buy a car, and a year later, it drives better, parks itself, has new dashboard displays, and even offers new safety features, without ever visiting a dealer. Subscription models for everything from enhanced autopilot to custom in-car apps will become the norm. As Gene Munster puts it, EV adoption will accelerate as battery prices decline and charging infrastructure improves, but consumer education is also crucial to dispel myths and address range anxiety. Perhaps most exciting is the promise of the vehicle becoming an active part of the energy grid. Vehicle-to-grid, V2G technologies mean your car isn't just a vehicle, it's a mobile power station. During peak energy demand, cars plugged in at home can feed electricity back to the grid, smoothing blackouts and even earning you money. Charging isn't just a cost, it's a potential revenue stream. Rural communities and city centers alike could become more resilient, with millions of parked cars acting as batteries for the neighborhood. But rapid change brings its own complications. Who owns the data your car generates? What about cybersecurity? And if batteries last decades and get reused for home storage, will today's battery supply chains keep pace, both in raw materials and recycling capacity? Experts like Chris Pateman-Jones remind us, we need a mix of charging solutions, including on-street charging, to cater to all EV drivers, not just those with driveways, ensuring equitable access to charging infrastructure. Still, the circular economy is coming into focus. In a future where tens of millions of EVs hit the roads, the demand for lithium, cobalt, and nickel could stress global supply chains. Rather than simply mining more, the industry is mobilizing around recycling and reuse. The idea, every battery gets a second or even third life. After 10 years in your car, a battery could power your home or buffer the grid for years. This not only tames environmental impact, but helps stabilize raw material prices and supply for future EVs. The real wild card is the human factor. Will consumers embrace the upheaval? Will policy remain supportive in the face of budget pressures and political winds? It's very possible we'll see a two-speed world, advanced economies marching ahead while other regions lag, caught between cost, infrastructure, and local priorities. So, what does it all mean for you? If you're considering an electric vehicle, now is perhaps the most exciting and confusing time to make the switch. The market is exploding with new options, from affordable runabouts like the Dacia Spring to tech-packed family SUVs like the Kia EV3 and the stylish long-range Tesla Model 3. Prices are finally coming down, and with lower running costs and government incentives, many EVs are now cheaper to own than their petrol counterparts over the long run. But the decision is personal. Think about your driving habits. How often do you need to drive more than 200 miles in a day? Where will you charge? At home? At work? On the public grid? Consider the total cost of ownership, insurance, maintenance, even road tax. And don't forget to check for EV-specific utility tariffs. Some, like Octopus Energy, offer off-peak charging at a fraction of the daytime rate. Planning ahead pays off. If you're a city dweller without a driveway, look for on-street charging options. Some councils and local utilities now install neighborhood chargers or lamppost charging points. Suburban and rural drivers might consider installing a domestic wall box for fast, convenient charging at home. And as features become software-driven, keep in mind that your vehicle could actually get better with age. For tech enthusiasts, EVs offer a glimpse into the software-defined car, a machine that adapts, evolves, and personalizes itself over time. Over-the-air updates can unlock new performance modes, safety features, or even games and entertainment for passengers. For those worried about battery life, most modern EVs come with generous warranties, often 8 years or more, with replacement costs dropping every year. And thanks to circular economy initiatives, your old battery may someday power your house, not simply end up as waste. But vigilance matters. The market is dynamic. Research before investing in a vehicle. Not all EVs are created equal. Test drive multiple models, read unbiased reviews, and consider future resale value. Watch out for upcoming changes in charging standards. By 2027 in the EU, for instance, all EVs must use the same charging port, meaning legacy vehicles may need adapters or retrofit solutions for cross-border travel. And don't underestimate the value of software. As the shift towards digital platforms accelerates, the gap between brands may increasingly reflect their tech and user experience, not just hardware. Tesla has set a high bar, but other brands, like Hyundai and Volkswagen, are quickly catching up. If you're in the automotive sector, there's opportunity everywhere: building and maintaining infrastructure, recycling batteries, developing software, or training the next generation of EV technicians. As Daniel Harrison observes, the shift to EVs will require significant investment in skills and training across the automotive industry, creating new job opportunities but also posing challenges for the existing workforce. On the environmental front, the electrification of transport remains one of our most powerful weapons against both urban air pollution and global climate change. Even accounting for the energy used to make and charge batteries, EVs are already substantially cleaner than petrol or diesel cars over their lifespans. And as the grid itself greens, that advantage only grows. Will there be bumps? Absolutely. But this is a revolution happening in real time, with all the disruption and excitement that comes with it. Quentin Wilson, a longtime motoring journalist, sums it up. The Renault 5 E-Tech is a game changer, bringing retro charm and affordability to the EV market, potentially attracting a new generation of EV buyers. The industry is learning, iterating, recalibrating its ambitions as it goes. And what about the big question? Can the electric vehicle revolution overcome these mounting obstacles, or is a stall looming ahead? The answer: the revolution is real, but not guaranteed. It is not the unstoppable juggernaut some headlines suggest. There will be slowdowns, supply crunches, and public debates about subsidies, regulation, and local priorities. But the fundamental drivers, climate necessity, technological acceleration, and economic momentum, remain strong. If history teaches us anything, it's that revolutions rarely unfold in a straight line. Electric vehicles are here to stay, and while the road ahead will twist and curve, the long-term trend is clear. We are witnessing the most profound shift in personal transportation in over a century, one that extends far beyond the car itself, reshaping our cities, our energy systems, and the very meaning of mobility. As for that secret fact we promised, did you know the world's first practical electric car actually predated the internal combustion engine car by several decades? Back in 1889, an electric carriage traveled the streets of London at a time when gasoline cars were still prototypes. In some ways, the EV revolution is bringing us full circle, but with 21st century power. So, what do you think? Would you make the switch to electric? Are you waiting for the next tech breakthrough, cheaper prices, or a more robust charging grid? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this story illuminating, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Join our community for more in-depth dives into the future of transportation. And if you have questions about EVs, the latest models, or want advice on making the switch, let us